Welcome into Beyond the Blasters, a Star Wars podcast where we talk about everything Star Wars, and we're talking about Darth Vader #1. Just came out within the last couple of weeks, really, and we're big fans, but we got to introduce who we are. So I'm David Amilati, and this is David Gilbert. And David, we're feeling really good right now.
We're feeling stoked and pumped about this. I am.
Okay, so the comic came out, like I said, last week, I think it was, and I've read this 3 times. You're on, like, number 17 read. So what has got you so excited about this comic to have you read it again and again and again?
It's a new beginning. I love new beginnings, and this is right where it starts. So you can jump right in. You can figure out what's going on. It's a nice, easy entry point for somebody who's just trying to get into Star Wars comics.
So let's give you a little reference point before we dive into this breakdown, just because... You know, I have thousands of comics. I mean, there's a lot of comics on the shelf that you can't see. David is actually a trade guy, so I'm really excited to know that you're into this issue right off the bat because you like to wait around for those trades because you like that complete story. But for this series, you're telling me that you're already ready. You're willing to wait month after month to get that next issue.
I'm stoked and ready for July to come around. It's good.
It's good.
It's good.
We also want to mention the fact that this is not the continuation of that 2015 run, that 25-issue series with Gillian, which was tremendous, and you really enjoyed it. You blew through that, right?
I'm halfway through it.
Okay.
So I got a little more to go, but the first half was just, it knocked my socks off. I have high hopes for this one, too.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the breakdown, and we'll start this like we start every breakdown. Darth Vader #1 hit store shelves June 7th, 2017, and we at Beyond the Blasters thought we'd break it down for you. Once the reader cracks the spine of this comic, you're thrust into Vader's internal conflict. A clenched fist, a medical droid fusing metal, a laughing Emperor Palpatine, and Padme struggling for air. We are seeing the thoughts of Vader. After the camera cuts away during the scene in Revenge of the Sith, Vader, fueled by anger and grief, loses control, emitting a powerful wave of Force energy throughout the medical chamber, throwing Palpatine into the wall. Now, Palpatine responds with some fatherly love, tough love, and starts roasting Vader with Force lightning. This goes on for several panels, and it's moments like this that make me very thankful my dad is not the Dark Lord of the Sith. Now, the Emperor tells Vader to defend himself with his lightsaber. We know the issue is Anakin lost his lightsaber. Now, Chief Palpatine is somewhat apologetic to Vader while pointing his ignited red lightsaber before Vader's face. For example, he says if Vader uses the Force on him again, he will finish what Kenobi could not, but then calls him a friend. Talk about a love-hate relationship, right? The next scene transports the reader outside the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. There are thousands of people in attendance while Mas Amedda, the assistant to Emperor Palpatine, preaches how the Jedi are gone. Clone troopers have collected the lightsabers of the fallen Jedi inside and prepare them to burn. Here we get a reveal. Amedda is holding Yoda's lightsaber, which confirms Yoda never retrieved it. High up above, Palpatine and Vader look down. It's here it's explained the process of bleeding a kyber crystal. The concept is a Sith pours his pain into the living kyber crystal. Now, the two Sith don't steal any of these sabers. Imagine if Charles Soule would have had written that Vader stole Yoda's kyber crystal. Canon junkies would lose their mind. The Emperor explains a Sith saber cannot be given, but taken. That means we take a road trip to the Mid-Rim. Vader has to go on the hunt for a Jedi that so far has escaped Order 66. The kicker is when they arrive planetside, the ship that the Emperor had for Vader conveniently got stolen. So this new cybernetic monster now has to walk across the sand, the thing he loathes the most. He ultimately finds the pirates, and for a pirate camp that's in the middle of what seems to be nowhere, there's a ton of cannons surrounding this thing. Very well defended. Anyways, the pirates are scared instantly when old vehicle parts just start flying around in the air. Vader leaps into the camp using the Force to throw junk metal around as tiny daggers, slaughtering the filthy pirates. When the last standing pirate asks what Vader wants, he responds only this, meaning their death. Now we bring it, back to us here at the desk, and we've shown you several of the images from inside that comic. David, first, let's just start with what we liked. You like we said at the beginning, you've read this comic multiple times. What are the pros here?
I love the art. I love the attention to detail. I don't like comic book art that looks more sketchy. I like when they take the time to flesh out the detail and make every panel and every pane look like it's poster-worthy.
What do you think of the look that they give Darth Vader? Because something that we've experienced in this new canon is we're giving Vader different looks as we progress from that end of Revenge of the Sith all the way through Return of the Jedi when he ultimately dies. The helmet's a little different.
It's a tad bit different, but it's to me as a more casual fan, it's not really that noticeable. You look at him, and he's the iconic Darth Vader that we know to love to hate.
What do you think about, I think my pro is the fact that we're starting to flesh out a little bit more how you make that that lightsaber crystal, that kyber crystal bleed. We go to Coruscant. There is the Emperor. There's Vader up in that balcony. They're looking down, and the Emperor is explaining, you have to use your rage, you have to use your anger with that crystal, and you make it bleed because that kyber crystal is living, and that's something that wasn't really explored prior to the Disney takeover. It was just believed that the kyber crystal was just a crystal, and now there seems to be life within inside. How do you feel about that?
Part of me is okay with that. I like that there's a little more depth to it than just it's a different color crystal and you just swap them out. I like the notion that he now has to go rebuild a new lightsaber, and that in order to do that, he has to go on a kind of a quest to prove himself that he's worthy of becoming a Sith Lord.
It's like a twisted version of the hero's journey, right? Like he gets this new piece of information. He has to go find a new lightsaber. He needs to go find the crystal. He needs to make it bleed. He has the Emperor. He's someone who bestows this information upon him, and now Vader has to go on off. I think my biggest positive is that Charles Soule in this first issue has already, to me, followed through with his promise. He is going to show us Darth Vader Year 1. My background with comics started with Batman, and I love Batman Year 1. Love to see how that hero got his start. Well, now we're looking at maybe the most iconic villain of all time. And how did he get his weapon? How did he fall from grace? Well, we kind of know that already. But this is really thrilling to see, first off, the dynamic between the Emperor and Vader. What happens? Vader loses control, and the Emperor immediately puts him back in his place. Ignites his lightsaber, points the blade down at Vader's face, and then just shocks him with the Force lightning, just to make sure Vader knows where he stands. You're not my equal. You are still below me, even though the Emperor loves to call Vader his friend. And I also really enjoy that notion of taking us back to the Jedi Temple and seeing what happened, because I want to know what happens after all those Jedi are slaughtered. A cleanup crew has to come in there at some point, right? You can't just have all these dead carcasses lying around. We know that the Emperor kind of makes that his headquarters later on. So I like how it's not fan service, but it is giving fans a little insight into what did happen next. And honestly, we got that at the very beginning. I love how they took the medical chamber scene, which was such a sour taste in so many of our mouths, because we got that very, unfortunately, iconic no from Vader in the end of Revenge of the Sith. But here we get to see like the next 5 seconds of that scene that we don't get in the movie, and it's intense. Again, just seeing those memories inside of Vader's head and unleashing with the Force light. It's pretty incredible. So
you can feel his pain.
You can.
You can sympathize with him right off the bat, and it shows that he really is the main character and the hero of this storyline, for better or for worse.
And that's what I'm excited to see too, because I thought what Lords of the Sith, one of the original, not the original, but one of the first new canon novels did so well was give us insight into not just that relationship between the Emperor and Vader, but also give us insight into the pain that Vader is dealing with. He is not comfortable in that suit. He is in constant pain, and he's also still in constant emotional torture right now because he still misses the love of his life that he basically killed. I want to get away from this notion that she died of a broken heart. He killed her. He ruined that opportunity to rule the galaxy with his bride at his side, right? We've mentioned a lot of positives, a lot of things that we like, but is there anything, David, that flipping through this first issue you're not crazy about?
It's a little short for my liking. I prefer the trades, as noted earlier. There's definitely some opportunities for them to take this a lot further, and I'm excited to see where it goes. It's a good platform for the beginning, for the first issue.
I like this. If I was to give it a rating, I'd give it like a 4.9 out of 5. We'll probably do a final grading at the end of this. I probably got a little ahead of myself here. I really loved it. I'm very passionate about this new comic because I think it's really great. I don't really need a ship to be stolen by pirates and then Vader just go on this little tear at the very end. It was really cool to see him disintegrate all these guys with like old broken engines. But you know what? It's supposed to kind of leave you on a cliffhanger for the next issue, because you're assuming on the next issue maybe he gets one step closer to finding a Jedi, or at least finding a Jedi's lightsaber to start bleeding that crystal.
I'm more excited to see how he's going to get the lightsaber away from that Jedi.
Yeah,
without having one of his own.
That will be interesting. It's going to be kind of like reconnaissance in a way. Mm-hmm. And also, like, what are the parts? Like, where does he get the parts to build that lightsaber?
Well, the kyber crystal's got to be the hard part to get, right?
Well, I would think so.
You can just go to, like, Space Ace Hardware and grab some, random parts.
Are the Space Ace Hardwares, like, all over the place, you think?
I don't know. If they're going out of business, they probably got some good sales.
Oh, my goodness. So that's pretty much, those are our pros and cons. So before we wrap this up, David, let's give a final score for this first issue of Darth Vader, written by Charles Soule. What do you think?
4.8.
4.8. And again, can you restate why 4.8?
4.8, I love that it's a starting platform. I love where the story is going to go. I love the pain. I love the emotion that we feel right off the get-go with Darth Vader. I love the notion that they're giving a little more backstory into the lightsaber and bleeding of the kyber crystals. I like how they're wrapping up the Jedi story by destroying all of their lightsabers. Gives me a little closure on what happened to all of these space swords that we seem to only see very few of in the next couple movies. And I love seeing Vader just start to go crazy on these smugglers at the very end. So I want to see more of that. I want to see Darth Vader just go crazy and destroy an entire legion of people.
I think for all those reasons, I just have to say I agree. I'm going to give it a 4.9 because perfection. Does that even exist? I'm not sure. But this comic was really close to it. If you're excited about this comic, if you've read it, you've enjoyed it, tell us what you like about it down below. We're fans of this comic. If you're enjoying Darth Vader #1, have no worries. Issue #2 hits store shelves this July. While you're here, can you do us a favor? Give this video a thumbs up. Hit subscribe to our channel. Also, look for us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you look real close, you can actually find a way where you can buy a really cool Beyond the Blast Doors t-shirt. It's all right here. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you soon.